Hey Marty. So I have an update on how the multiple preset system's working, and I just wanted to take a few minutes and go over it. It's mostly the same as before, but I'll make sure to highlight anything that might have changed. Starting with this graphic on the screen here that kind of helps me to visualize the logic that goes into how the system works. So in this case, along the top here, these are three different presets. Table shapes is meant to be a single group of options, and then these are different options within that group. So in this example, basically the preset A, or ovals, is saying that these two options are available and these are not. Preset B is saying these two are available and these are not. And finally, the preset C, circles, is saying that the two circle shapes are available and the others are not. The way the logic works when you're applying these to products is if the option is available in any of the presets, it is available to the product. And so that is why over here the product with A and B assigned to it, so ovals and rectangles, has these four options available, but of course because none of these options apply. So in this example, circles, preset C is not applied. So obviously these options are not available. Some of the language in the plugin itself has changed, so we'll go over that in a moment. But that is the overall logic. If any preset that's assigned to a product makes an option available, that option is available in the product. So let's look at a specific example. So I'm going to start by editing test preset A. And this is going to look very similar to before. It does have a new look. It's a little cleaner. Not that it really matters, but just as a visual indicator that you're looking at the new system and not the old. So again, very similar. Preset A is adding apron options, and it's adding both of the available apron options, with and without. And there's really nothing else to that. You'll notice that the options are now, instead of available and unavailable, it's available and unselected. I wanted a more neutral language for this because, of course, if I were to switch back to the graphic, unavailable has a very, it makes it seem like it's unavailable, of course, which makes sense. As far as the presets are going, you're not actually saying something's unavailable. You're just not saying it is available. Perhaps it's a little bit of a semantics thing, but it does matter. So instead here for these presets, for example, if I go to preset B, I believe I have a preset that does not have all of them. Here we go. So if you were to apply test preset B to a product, the front end of the site, and this isn't we're going to work on this next, but on the front end of the site will eventually show the armrest group, and if you only added test preset B, then this option, and this option would be available, and the other two would not. Now, because of multiple presets, you may very well have, and I think I have one of these set up. This is from it's called Best Preset. I did another video before this and then found a bug and had to fix it. So Best Preset is also adding armrest options, but this one adds adjustable armrests and padded armrests, whereas this one adds adjustable without and wood. So if you were to include both, well, I'll go over that when I show you the products. Let me go over this first. So obviously you can remove things using the X button. You can add any preset can have more than one option group. So this test preset B, which is what I'm looking at, can have armrest options and bar stool back options, if that ever makes sense to you. If you included this, now it does not put all these options in the same drop-down. It just means on the front end there'll be one group that says armrest and it'll have some options in it, and there'll be another group that says bar stool and it will have some options in it. And as I just said, you can hit the X and remove it, and just click on that to go back to it. These buttons work exactly as you'd expect. So I'm just going to reload the page without saving, just to get back to where we were. So product presets haven't changed a whole lot. The biggest thing is some clarification to language by changing unavailable to unselected, simply meaning this preset says nothing about whether these are available, but of course if nothing's, an option isn't shown unless something says it is available. Hopefully that all makes sense. Again, this hasn't changed too much. So let me go into product data. And we're gonna put together a new product here. Go ahead and call this dummy product 3. And I'm gonna scroll down to product options. And this again looks very similar, except you used to have a single drop down here where you could choose one preset. The way it works now is simply if you click in here, you'll see a list of all the presets. And if you start typing a name, once that list gets really long, you can just start typing a name and it will filter them down to what you want. So I'm going to go ahead and add test preset A. And before I look at that, I just want to go back and review this. This is test preset A. This is going to add the apron options group, and it's going to add both with aprons and without. So at this point, I'm just gonna go publish the post. This is one way to save it. There is a save button down there that I'll explain in a moment, but I'm gonna just publish dummy product 3 with only the single preset. And once it reloads, here we are. And we're gonna see that, okay, so it has test preset A, and it's added apron options, and this has changed ever so slightly. A couple things to note here are apron options does not have a delete button, and the reason is because it's part of a preset, so you can't remove it. You can't remove it with the X button because it's in a preset. Now, to help you know that, we'll look at over here at this table. What this is saying is the test preset is adding. This is telling you which preset is adding the option. I guess maybe before I go into this, let me show you the multiple presets. So I'm going to add A, and we already added A. And then B is going to add armrest options, and it's only going to add 3 of the 5. So let's add test preset B. Now this time I'm going to use this button. When you use that button to save the changes, it does require that you reload the page that you're on. Now you can do that if you've made other changes. You'll probably want to hit update just to make sure everything gets saved. And if you haven't made changes, you can just hit the refresh button in your browser. I experimented with having that automatic reload, and it was just it was creating a lot of complexity and unreliability. So for the moment, it does have that step, but hopefully it's not too much trouble. So we've now added test preset A and test preset B, and sure enough, we see here apron options looks just like it did a moment ago, and it has also added armrest options, which are coming from test preset B. And if I switch over to that tab, this is where the interface makes a little more sense. So what this is saying is here in the preset column, it's telling you which preset is making this option available. So this is telling you that test preset B is saying, yes, please include adjustable armrests, please include without arms, and please include with armrests. And back here on apron options, it has the same things with preset A. Now, one thing to note is here in the setting column, most of the time you're really just going to need to leave things uninherited. These set of drop-downs are for making per product edits. So if you have a configuration that is used by a handful of products, you're better off just going and making a preset. Whereas if this product, let's say this particular, let's say this is a chair, is not offered without arms, then all you would need to do is go in here and say that it's unavailable. And likewise, let's say instead of having a without arms option, it does have the padded arms section. You can say, yes, this is available. In short, anything here with a check mark is going to be available, and anything without a check mark is not. If I switch back to inherited, you'll see even though they're all blue, the adjustable armrest, it's saying it inherits, but it's a yes because it comes from the preset. And likewise, padded armrest by default is no because it inherits and there's nothing here. There's nothing telling it to include that, so it doesn't. So you can see how overlap works. If I switch here to, this was best preset, and this also adds armrest. So this is both test B and best preset add armrest, but this adds different ones. Now this one is also in test preset B, but padded is not. So if I come back here, if I come back here and I add best preset, save it, refresh, and I come down here, we're going to see a slightly more elaborate setup here. So apron options is unchanged because, of course, only preset A is saying anything about this. If I go to armrest, so you can see it doesn't have a problem that adjustable armrest was defined by both presets. It does only show you the first preset that defines it, just to keep this column from getting overwhelmingly complicated and full. But it is telling you that at least one preset is saying yes, include adjustable. Now, these two, without arms and wood arms, are coming from preset B, and padded armrest is coming from best preset. And you can see in this instance, the only option not actually being included is the as shown. So this is where multiple presets here are overlapping, and so any option defined in any of those presets is available to this product. And again, you can then go in and say, if this chair is an exception and does not have wooden arms, you still have the available to turn that off explicitly. But what you don't need to do is, if test preset B is saying it has an option without arms, you don't have to come in here and say available, because you just leave it on inherited, and the check mark here is your confirmation that that is working, that is going to be included, because it is included by a preset. You can, again, per product, you can add additional things. So if this is an unusual chair, I don't know why a chair would have a buffet option, but this works a little differently in that because buffet options is not in any of the presets, you're just adding this to this product, which is why that delete button reappears, because it's in order to get rid of these, you'd have to remove the presets that are adding them. But buffet options I just added manually to this product, and I do actually need to come in. Inherited will never work here, of course, because it's not inheriting any kind of preset, but I can go in here and I'll either inherit. To be honest, if something's not available, I would just leave it on inherited. I'll tell you, the difference is this. If I come and add buffet options, and I say, okay, they're all unavailable except these two. All right, makes more sense if I do these two. If I do it like this, so that there's a closed and open buffet option, if I go back later on and I add a preset that adds buffet options, this won't change because these are explicit settings. These are the product overriding anything any preset says. So this would, if you add buffet options later and you add, the backsplash, it won't be available because the backsplash will say that it has a preset at that point, but the product will say no. If, on the other hand, you do something very similar, if you do this, well, now these will have closed and open now, and if you add a preset later that adds more buffet options, those will inherit. Those will become part of the product, because while they're set up as an X, because right now it's not inheriting anything, if that situation changes, maybe I can just demonstrate this. So I'm gonna leave buffet options in there. I'm gonna go ahead and save that, and while it does, let's make another preset. And we'll call it buffet preset, and I'm just going to go ahead and add, let's see, we had buffet options, and I'm going to add with and without a hutch, and publish that. Over here on product data, I'll just give this a refresh, because that new preset wouldn't be in this list until the next time the page is loaded, but now that it is, so let's look at how it was before. So before, it was closed and open, but the hutch and the without hutch were not part of it. I'm going to go ahead and add a buffet preset. Save. Going to add. This does go away because it's important to reload the page. And if that becomes a hassle, we can find an option. But so let's look at what changed. So first of all, buffet options no longer has the X. Things are only deletable if they're defined per just in the product, because otherwise you'd have a preset. If you want to get rid of, for example, apron options, but you don't for some reason want to delete the preset, you would just say unavailable. If all the options are unavailable, it won't show up on the front. If that makes sense. I'm just throwing that in there. But okay, so if we go down to buffet options, so let's look at how this changed. So the two per product that I set are still there. And because I left these on inherited instead of saying they're unavailable, it has also inherited the new preset that I just added. And you saw me, I added this after I even created this group. So this has correctly inherited these options. If I had done unavailable and only changed these two to green, then right now these would still all be unavailable except for these two, because it would be overriding the preset. So that's about it. I definitely suggest that you play with this a little bit and maybe try putting a few real presets in, and maybe setting up a product or two, making sure it works for you. We've tested it pretty well, but there's never things come up, and we're happy to fix them. I don't anticipate many problems, if any. So I hope that all makes sense. I hope the clarifications to the wording in some of these screens make sense. I guess just as a matter of point, if I can delete any of these just by hitting the X and hitting save. Remember, you can hit this save or the update. If you hit the update, you don't have to refresh, because that's saving the whole post. The main purpose of this save preset list button is if you want to save this list but not necessarily save everything else on the page. That may not happen very often, so whatever works. Excuse me. I deleted that preset, and you'll notice the delete button has now come back, because of course there's now only per product settings. We got rid of the preset that was adding buffet options. So that's kind of how you manage these things. Likewise, if I were to delete test preset A, then apron options would disappear entirely, because there's nothing in this. The inherited is basically just saying defer to the preset. So as soon as I get rid of the preset, there's nothing in this product about presets, about apron options. Like I said, I hope this all makes sense. I'm happy to answer any questions, or especially edge cases, or what would I do in this situation, or what would I do if I wanted to create that product. Happy to help with that. Create a couple either test presets, or actually maybe come up with one or two real ones, especially if you can think of a good representative case of when you would use these. And and definitely let us know what you think, and if there's anything we can do to improve on what we've done here.